This is the Tarka Trail alongside the River Tor. It follows the route of a railway first authorised in June 1838. At the time, navigation along the river into Barnstaple was difficult, so local merchants decided to build a quay further downstream at Framington and link the two places by railway. The first tracks of the horse-drawn Tor Valley Railway and Dock Company were laid in 1846. At Framington Key, the cafe has been built in the style of a station, but it's not the original one. That was on the other side of the tracks in the foreground where the old platform still exists. Framington had a station yard with railway sidings and cranes, used for the export of ball clay and the import of coal. 100 years ago, it was the busiest port based on tonnage along the North Devon and the North Cornwall coasts. The tracks here weren't connected to the rest of the rail network until 1854, when a line was built between Barnstaple and Crediton. A year later, in 1855, the railway to Framington was extended over this bridge towards Insto and Biddeford. In 1865 it was taken over by the London and South Western Railway, which also operated the line between Exeter and Barnstaple. Originally the railway here was built to Brunel's broad gauge. An extra rail was added in 1863 to allow standard gauge trains to run. The last broad gauge train ran in 1877. We're now at Insto. The level crossing gates here and the signal box have been restored by volunteers. The green enamel signs are a reminder that the London and South Western and later the Southern operated here. Another Southern sign is this concrete gradient post next to the signal box. Well, on the platform, a brown Western Region totem sign reminds us that this area was transferred twice away from the Southern. The last time was in 1963, shortly before diesel replaced steam and closure was threatened. We're continuing now alongside the River Torridge into Biddeford, where the first station was built at Cross Park in 1855. It was moved to this new site in 1872, where the line was extended on to Torrington. Regular passenger trains were withdrawn here in October 1965. Milk and later fertiliser wagons from Torrington continued running here until 1978. The other freight was China clay from Meath. That stopped in 1982, with the tracks being lifted 3 years later. After closure, a Railway Preservation Society was formed to reopen the station. More than 200 yards of track were laid from the station onwards, and some rolling stock and a small diesel locomotive are also on site. We're now looking towards Torrington along the Tarka walking and cycling trail. The winter timetable of 1962 shows 11 trains running along here from Barnstaple. One of them was a through train service from Waterloo, the Atlantic Coast Express. The other was an evening service from Exeter. There were also 10 trains running in the other direction, one through to Waterloo and one to Exeter, the rest going as far as Barnstaple for connection with services to Ilfracombe. There was also a Sunday service of 3 trains each way. We passed through this 196-yard long tunnel, and on the right we'll soon be able to see the 200-year-old Beam Aqueduct from this bridge. We're now approaching Torrington Station, which was closed to passengers in 1965, but it did reopen 3 years later after flooding damaged the bridge over the river in Biddeford, and a shuttle train service was used to help local people get around. The line from Torrington continued to Meath and Howell Junction along a light railway built in 1925. We'll have more on that in a later film. The Tarka Railway Preservation Society has rebuilt a section of line here and some rolling stock is on display. They would like to reopen the line to Biddeford and have started to look at how that might be done, maybe using the government's reversing beaching funds. The station itself has now been turned into a popular cafe, the Puffing Billy.